Well, good afternoon, and welcome to the 44th Annual Nashville Preservation Awards. I'm Tim Walker, the Executive Director of the Metro Historical Commission. We're glad you're here with us today. When our commission began this program in 1973, it was a little bit different. It was actually an awards luncheon. And the commission created it to promote the work of historic preservation, which at that time was really rehabbing existing buildings and maintaining them. It started out, even then in 1973, with the support of our mayor, who was then Mayor Beverly Briley. He actually joined our commissioners to proclaim the first week of May that year National Preservation Week. So a lot has changed in the last 45 years, or 45 plus years. Since that time, we no longer have a luncheon, obviously. We've added a few categories to the awards program, including infill architecture within historic context. And Preservation Week has grown to Preservation Month in May. But one thing that really hasn't changed, thankfully, is the support we've had from mayors, all subsequent 7 administrations, up to this current mayor, Mayor David Briley, and we're very happy that we've always had that kind of support in the city. It's really made a difference. So if we could, I know you may or may not remember this, but one of the very first actions was actually the first speech this mayor gave was to make it known that we were going to preserve, his administration was going to preserve Fort Negley Park. So let's thank the mayor for his work, and let's give him a round of applause, please. Well, I know we're excited to recognize the best historic preservation projects over the last year. But before we begin, I just want to take a quick moment to thank those who have really made today's program a success. So I'm actually going to start by thanking all of our staff participate and make this event, pull it together and make it happen, but one person in particular is in charge of it. I just want to recognize her. She's back there, so you'll have to look back. And Scarlett Miles, will you wave to everyone? Scarlett does a great job, and she's been in charge of Preservation Awards for several years now, and I'm not sure if we could do it without her. Well, I also want to thank our commissioners, both the Metro Historical and Metro Historic Zoning Commissioners. They work very hard for us. They provide guidance, support. They spend their time and energy assisting staff, and we really do thank them for their service. So if you're a Metro Historical or Metro Historic Zoning Commissioner, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. I also want to thank the 2 sponsors of our reception that will happen right after the awards program. They are Historic Nashville Incorporated, or H&I as we call them. They're our local nonprofit for historic preservation, and I want to add 2019 is a very special year for Historic Nashville. They turned 50 this year. So let's give them a round of applause. If you're on the board of Historic Nashville or an advisor, please stand and be recognized. Thanks. I also want to thank the Metro Historical Commission Foundation. They're the nonprofit arm of the office, and they help us meet the funding need for projects that wouldn't happen otherwise. They've really helped us meet that shortfall when a grant or our budget didn't meet it. And they're a very hardworking board of 15 members. They've really made projects happen like the Fort Negley Cultural Landscape Report that's soon to be completed. They've helped with the economic impact study for historic preservation in Davidson County that'll be released in a few weeks. And they're helping with the archaeology that'll be happening at Fort Negley once the deconstruction of Greer Stadium has been completed in a couple of months. So if you're a board member of the Metro Historical Commission Foundation, please stand and be recognized. Well, I also want to, I'm thanking a lot of people, but I also want to thank the Dream Hotel Nashville. They're hosting our reception this afternoon. If you haven't seen the buildings that have been renovated. It's really a treat, and they really are trying to honor the history there. And I also want to thank the Public Library for allowing us to use this wonderful auditorium space again this year. Well, that's all for the thank yous. I now have the honor of introducing the Vice Chair of the Metro Historical Commission, whose day job is History Professor and Department Chair at Montgomery Bell Academy, Dr. Clay Bailey.
Thank you very much, Tim. I'd like to just say I'm a history teacher, not a history professor. So I'm a high school teacher. So, but I would like to actually start by thanking you, Tim. Tim Walker, as well as Robin Ziegler, who provide leadership at the Metro Historical Commission. And here at this 44th Annual Preservation Award, as Tim said, Scarlett has played a pivotal role in pulling this off the last several years, and it's only gotten better and better. And all the people who work at the Metro Historical Office, the workload of your office has, as well as the urgency of it, have increased significantly over these last several years as Nashville has seen so much development, which is not always compatible with preservation. So now more than ever, your work is essential to Nashville, retaining and enhancing its uniqueness by highlighting and preserving our past. So thank you very much. And as commissioners, we do what we can to contribute to those efforts and to support you in your work. As I know the the MHC Foundation, Historic Nashville, and other groups also do. I'd also like to thank our intrepid and brilliant Metro historian, Carol Busey, who is here with us today, and also to acknowledge the work of our Metro Historical Commission Chairman, Jim Forcum. While he could not be here today, he has done so much for preservation and for the public good more broadly in Nashville over many years of service, and when his term ends, he will be sorely missed. Also, we'd like to thank the judges for these preservation awards, Jane Coleman-Catone, Lee Fitz, and Dr. Lee Williams. And to those also whose work and whose buildings they judged. You make Nashville more beautiful, and you strengthen the case every day for why preservation matters. But why I'm standing here ultimately is to introduce our mayor. Mayor David Briley, you are the child of Metro Nashville, born soon after your grandfather Beverly Briley became the first mayor of a newly formed Metro. You care very deeply about historic preservation, and you have shown by your words and by your actions as mayor regarding Fort Negley, Sunnyside Mansion, the historic yet charming yet in dire need of attention, home of the Metro Historical Commission, and other site that you care about that site, and that Sunnyside will have a more sunny future. So we will keep on the sunny side and know that its better days are coming because of your commitment to it and to other sites that we do have. As a great humanitarian, public servant, and lifelong Nashvillian, you recognize the importance of knowing, preserving, and broadening out the telling of our city's past in order to see the path to a more harmonious and civil future. And thus, we are confident that you will continue to stand as an advocate for preserving the past as a path to a bright future. And your presence here today and your advocacy for the Historical Commission is a testament to that. So Mayor Briley, thank you very much for being here with us today and for leading our awards ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Clay. I appreciate being called a child at any point. So no longer being one, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. I know we're joined by at least 3 council members. Councilmember Freddie O'Connell from the 19th District, Council Lady Berkeley Allen from the 18th District, who is here, and Council Lady Antoinette Lee, whose number I cannot remember. I was going to say it's in the 33, Councilmember 33. So thanks to each one of them for being here today. Briefly, I had one of my college roommates came to town for the draft because his son is some sort of Rain Man of the draft. He's 18 and he knew exactly who everybody was going to pick for all whatever number of rounds. But we had a little bit of time on Saturday, and I felt we ought to do something maybe a little bit more connected to the city's past, and so we went to the Hermitage and had a great opportunity. It was a beautiful day, probably one of the nicer spring days we've had, and I got a chance to show them around the Hermitage, which is, a real jewel in the city, and it's only here because folks came together a long time ago to preserve it. It was on its way out, and so I felt both good about getting my friends from Connecticut a chance to see the Hermitage, but frankly, the Hermitage is it's been around long enough where the narrative there, I think it's pretty clearly, it was, and I don't mean to offend anyone, so I apologize if I do. It was written really by white people, and it's about, they've started to, and there are parts of it now where you can see a different part of the history there, and that's good and important. But it was first written by white folks. And I think that's what is so important about Fort Negley. It gives us a place in our community where, for the first time, the narrative there really can be written not just by white folks. And so I think that's why it was important to me a year plus ago to lay down a marker about where our city is headed. But we're both going to acknowledge our history, but we're also going to start talking about it in a new and different way. And we're continuing that with the Morris Memorial Building, where the city has, we've offered to buy it from the National Baptist Convention. It's really the last remaining building in our town from what was the historically black commercial district in the core of the city. It wasn't Jefferson Street, really. It was what was then called Charlotte and 4th, and now called Martin Luther King. And 4th was probably called Cherry Street back then. So I think we're going to learn a little bit about how we can interact with the private sector and preserve more buildings in Nashville through the Morris Memorial Building. And so I think our city is poised to do more on historic preservation than we've ever done before, and find some ways to be both thoughtful and persistent about preserving the history of the city. And frankly, we issued $1.4 billion worth of building permits the first quarter of this year, so we're going to be more and more pressed to do that as a city. And I'm committed to making sure that we do that as your mayor. That means, well, just this week or last week, the planning department issued their proposed plan for preserving Music Row. And it means that we're going to find well, actually, no, we're not going to find. I'll just be more definitive. Next year's capital spending plan will include the money necessary to renovate Sunnyside, because I got a tour there just a few weeks ago. I guess it's actually months ago now, but you can thank Tim for twisting my arm till it almost broke, and that commitment is definitive. So in Nashville, we work together, government, business, and the private sector, to do more and more every year, and that should and will include historic preservation. So thank you very much for being here to celebrate this month and to honor the folks in Nashville who have made such a difference in the last year. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jane Coleman-Catone, and it has been my pleasure to serve as a judge for this year's Preservation Awards, along with Lee Fitz and Dr. Lee Williams. Before we get started, I think I can speak on behalf of my fellow judges and offer a congratulations to all of the nominated projects. Sometimes it feels like Nashville's historic properties are under a constant threat of demolition. And it's true. Over the past year, we have lost or will soon lose many of the historic places that help make Nashville the special place it is to live and work. It's easy to feel dismayed. However, as we'll see today, we still have plenty to celebrate, and we can't lose sight of that. There is a lot of great preservation work taking place across Davidson County, and so many passionate preservationists, from dedicated homeowners to large-scale developers, are investing in the many places that make Nashville unique. So we'd like to say thank you to each property owner, contractor, designer, engineer, and others who worked on a nominated project. You made our job pretty tough, but it's a good thing. And now we can't wait to tell you about these terrific projects. So, as we read the honorable mentions and winning projects' names, will everyone associated with that project please stand and come onto the stage at the center steps. I will describe each project as you come forward. We will begin with the residential category. Here are the nominated projects. As you can see, this group includes some really special places, each one telling a unique preservation story. An honorable mention goes to 2701 Woodlawn Drive. This project, designed by Manuel Zeitlin Architects and completed by Twin Team Construction, included rehabilitation of the exterior of this 1938 bungalow, a new rear addition, and a new detached outbuilding. Prior to the project, the house was greatly deteriorated and near collapse with a severe slope across the floor. The thoughtful design and appropriate scale of the addition takes into account the change in grade across the property, and the outbuilding is quite charming. The finished product anchors this corner in the historic Hillsborough West End neighborhood, but does not overwhelm it. Nice work. A preservation award goes to 1405 Linden Avenue. Originally built as a single-family home, this striking shaken stone foursquare was once divided into a 3-unit apartment building, but then returned into a single-family home in 1980. This particular project involved the removal of an earlier addition and replacement with a new, larger addition. Designed by Allard Ward Architects, the project also included a full restoration of each room, including stained millwork in and around the 24-inch deep window gems and several original fireplaces. We admired the restraint and scale of the new addition and could tell instantly that homeowners Chris and Emily Douglas have lovingly restored, maintained, and cared for their home over the years. Pete Conrad Construction and Sarah Ray Interior Design completed the team for this recent project. Well done. A preservation award goes to 1707 Blair Boulevard. When this impressive foursquare was purchased by the current owner, it had been haphazardly divided into 6 apartments. The recent project addressed structural and maintenance issues, requiring repairs to crumbling brick and stone details and rotting woodwork such as trim and soffits, and included a complete interior renovation and a new addition to create 4 condos. Designed by 912 Architects with assistance from T-Square Engineering and executed by Goodrum Construction, amenities for the condos include private porches, roof decks, and bonus loft space. We appreciate how the property has remained multifamily, and we agreed that the addition is a good example of a modern design placed behind a historic structure. Great work. A preservation award also goes to 1607 18th Avenue South. Despite earlier encounters with neglect and awkward additions, this stone colonial was well cared for during the last 2 decades. Built around 1925, it was converted to a duplex in 1986. In 2001, it was returned to a single-family home, and the garage and master bedroom wing were added in 2008. This recent project, guided by developer David Haverkamp and completed by Reed & Company Construction, updated finishes and systems and addressed some of the evidence of its duplex years. A new porch addition designed by Allard Ward Architects is nestled within the earlier additions, which also received significant exterior repairs and updates. We were excited to see original windows and operational shutters remaining on the historic elevations. It's clear that this is a special home. A preservation award goes to 414 North 16th Street. When the current owners purchased this home in 2013, it was in disrepair with several structural failures. However, Lorena Howell and Jason Knobs were committed to a complete restoration. A modest addition designed by Allard Ward Architects replaced older porches with increased indoor and outdoor living spaces and does not overwhelm the original home. More importantly, the homeowners went to great lengths to execute a historically accurate rehabilitation. They researched and compared methods and materials and spared no effort in doing everything right, including leaving their unpainted brick unpainted and selecting an exterior color palette that truly allows the existing stone, brick, and mortar to shine. Their passion for this project was obvious, and the dedication of their general contractor, Building Company No. 7, was equally important. Excellent work. And now, Lee Fitz will continue with the next set of awards.
Thank you, Jane Coleman. Once again, I am Lee Fitz, and I have the pleasure of announcing the awards for the infill category. The relationship between infill construction and its surrounding, The relationship between infill construction and its surrounding historic properties is one of respect. A new building should complement and be visually compatible with its historic neighbors and should follow the established pattern and rhythm along a street. This is achieved through a framework of height, scale, and massing based on the surrounding context. To some, these guidelines might feel restricting. However, this year's winners show us that creative design can flourish within this framework, and they exemplify the broad scope of what can be celebrated in new construction. They can easily hold their own, and yet they fit nicely within the respective historic districts. The infill category was particularly diverse this year and included multifamily development as well as single-family homes of various sizes. Here are the nominated properties. So our first preservation award for infill goes to 1400 Ordway Place. Successful projects in this category took advantage of their surrounding historic contexts, and this home in Laughlin Springs East End was no exception. Designed by Tarl LaRocco with the Magnus Group, the house shows influences from nearby historic homes, such as the Craftsman-style windows and porch supports, but makes them modern and interesting, like the exaggerated eaves of the front cross gable. We appreciated the details of this design, including the rafter tails and the brackets. While a large project, the scale worked nicely at this corner intersection. I'd like to congratulate this team on their nice work on this project. Our next preservation award for infill goes to 1702 Sweetbriar Avenue. Amy Wood and Adam Lefevre commissioned Allard Ward Architects to design this new home in the Belmont Hillsborough as a modern interpretation of a historic foursquare, a popular form for the neighborhood. The design sets itself apart from similar homes in the area, whether historic or new, through material choices, including the limestone foundation and cut Indian limestone column caps, rail caps, corbels, and second floor window surround, all selected to age well among the neighboring homes. Defying current trends, the natural red brick was left unpainted, which hints to its contemporary construction and allows its color to truly shine. The team also included Savage Interior Design and the Magnus Group. Great job to this team, and congratulations on your award. Our next preservation award for infill goes to 422 North 16th Street. Residential designer Lynn Taylor and Drew Sloss of Sloss Find Woodworking combined forces to execute this contemporary design for a side-gabled house in historic Lockland Springs East End. The new home is located just a few houses down from another winning property in the residential category, demonstrating the importance of scale and massing for new construction in the historic context. These attributes help nestle the house into the neighborhood, while the mixture of materials and streamlined contemporary design set it apart and keep it fresh and interesting. Economic use of space enables the house to live large, and the siding and orientation of the garage maximize outdoor space for the dadu and the main house. While the house and the garage were nominated separately, they clearly belong together, and this award is for both projects. Excellent work to this team, and congratulations on your design award. And then our final preservation award for infill goes to 204 Elmington Avenue. This new home in Elmington Place charmed all of us. The distinctive design has a lot of personality and was well executed. While the limestone water table, mitered artisan siding, rafter tails, rain chains, and other features hint at the historic context, there are details like the decorative projections in the gable fields and also the prominent limestone chimney, which I want to point out is balanced by the front dormer and the battered limestone column, really make this new home set itself apart and distinguish itself from the others while nicely fitting in with its neighbors. Together, the design and development team of architect Preston Shea and Focus Builders have achieved a memorable design that is just simply very relatable. And terrific work to this team. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Lee Williams, who will be presenting our next category of awards.
Thank you, Lee. Again, I am Lee Williams, and I'm happy to conclude with the final categories of educational, commercial, and monument and memorial properties. Here are the nominated projects. The category of commercial architecture was particularly competitive this year. To be honest, I liked everything I saw. But an honorable mention goes to Clementine. This project involved the adaptive reuse of a former church into a vibrant event space. The First Methodist Episcopal Church of West Nashville built the main sanctuary in 1889 and expanded the building over the next few decades. Brenda and Dan Cook purchased the property from West Nashville United Methodist Church in 2017. Transformation of the property required new plumbing, electrical, HVAC, roof, everything, but the new systems are now state-of-the-art. The process also uncovered several old window openings and doorways, which had been obscured by various additions over the years, as well as the complete restoration of the 1905 George Kilgen and Sons pipe organ. Churches in historic neighborhoods often succumb to development pressures. This project is an example of how former religious buildings can be revitalized. Good work. And the Preservation Award goes to Stocking 51. This multi-phase project involved the adaptive reuse of the Belmead Hosiery Mill located at the intersection of Centennial Boulevard and 51st Avenue North, hence the name Stocking 51. The project transformed this disused industrial property into an exciting mixed-use development featuring restaurants, retails, creative office spaces, and much more. The team worked to retain as many original materials and details as possible, including flooring and metal window frames. And their attention to detail is evident. The three-story infill piece of the project is well designed with a mixture of materials and punctuated planes and is complementary to the original building. Even the metal arbors above the outdoor patios give a nod to the property's industrial heritage. Nice work. A preservation award goes to Fairlane Hotel. Designed by Bruce Crabtree for the Fidelity Federal Savings Bank in 1969, this 12-story tower served as a bank and offices until 2008. It's now home to a boutique hotel with guest rooms and penthouse suites, as well as a coffee shop, a deli, restaurant, and offices. The design and development team retained many original materials and design details, and used appropriate replacement materials when necessary. The original double-height lobby remains, preserving the existing travertine cladding, oak paneling, interior storefront, and elevator doors, while the ground-level curtain wall was replaced with matching energy-efficient assemblies. One exciting change is that the once exclusive fourth-floor terrace is now open as outdoor seating for the hotel restaurant. We were excited to see this later mid-century project amongst the group of nominees. It's an excellent reminder that as we move forward, the past moves right along with us, and the building of this era are worthy of preservation. Great work. A preservation award goes to Woolworth on 5th. The F.W. Woolworth store was amongst the first national five and dimes to open on 5th Avenue. A favorite spot for Nashvillians and visitors alike, its popularity grew with the establishment of lunch counters on the ground and mezzanine floors. These counters were initially segregated, but eventually became home to some of the first landmark sit-ins during the 1960s civil rights movement in Nashville. On its own merit, this was extensive and painstaking rehabilitation. The restaurant and event spaces, including the mezzanine and the basement, feature much of the original details, including the gilded handrails, wall accents, and hand-laid tile. Elements that could not be preserved were carefully recreated to match the original. As detailed as the work was, this project involved much more than turning a former department store into a restaurant. The preservation of this building helps tell an important part of Nashville's history. Congratulations. I'm really pleased about this one. In the Monuments and Memorials category, a preservation award goes to Gower Cemetery. The Gower Cemetery was established on April 16, 1816, with the burial of Obedience Blaker Gower, mother of the Reverend William Gower, on the Gower family farm. Over the years, the cemetery became overgrown with brush reaching over 6 feet tall. Metro Public Works generously completed the initial clearing of the site, making the cemetery manageable for archaeologist Dan Allen to set about repairing grave markers and locating identifying burials. The amount of history revealed in this project, including the history of enslaved African Americans, is remarkable, and it enriches the family story as well as our understanding of the larger community. Led by Gower descendants, Marcia Fagnani and Jana Stevenson, the restoration was funded by family and friends across the country. The fundraising was so impactful, it inspired the creation of the Davidson County Cemetery Maintenance Project, which enables descendants and friends to financially support the ongoing care of historic family cemeteries and to feel confident in the quality of the work being done on their behalf. We're certain you'll hear more about this project in the future. Amazing work. Once again, let's give a round of applause to all of our nominees and award winners. Great work, everybody. And now I'd like to introduce the Davidson County historian, my colleague and friend, Carol Busey.
Good afternoon. For the past 29 years, Ann Toplovich has been the executive director of the Tennessee Historical Society. At the time she took the helm of the THS, her career in public history was already established. It had begun earlier in the Tennessee Department of Conservation, where she had started to work not long after she graduated as a Phi Beta Kappa graduate from the University of Tennessee. Her blood still runs orange. She took this position there and started working on a variety of projects they had. She served as their director of the Tennessee Main Street Program, Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer, and Assistant Commissioner of the Tennessee Department of Conservation. Now, before Walter Durham died, he had several stories that he told me from time to time when we would meet up. And on one occasion, we were actually talking about Ann. And we were talking about how lucky the society had been to have found her at the particular time that she was hired 29 years ago. And Walter recalled that the search committee for the THS was a little nervous about Ann. They just didn't know whether she was quite the right person for this job. And after all, the THS office was more or less a one-person office, sometimes two, but it was a very small operation. There was not a staff that Ann would be managing. She would be dealing with volunteers, and she had to keep this very small nonprofit organization financially afloat. Now, during her interview, she answered the questions very competently, and by the end of the interview, all doubts about Ann's qualifications and competence for this position had vanished. Little did they know what a wise decision they were making that day. Ann proved to be the ideal person for this job. She combined her knowledge of the subject matter, Tennessee history, with her ability to crunch numbers, interpret budgets, spreadsheets. Her understanding of the need absolutely required to create networks in all parts of the historical community, public historians, academic historians, the people who need help in various parts of state government. She partnered, as the association, the Tennessee Historical Society, has always done, with the State Museum and the Tennessee State Library and Archives, who maintain a great deal of the Tennessee Historical Society's collection of artifacts and documents. Ann took the job. She understood the legislative process, how important it was to work with the members of the General Assembly, with the executive branch, with all parts of state government. In other words, Ann Toplovich knew how to get things done with graciousness and goodwill. Her reputation enhanced that reputation of the society. Now, as the director of the society, she's been involved with countless grants, as you will read in your program, of the various things she has worked on. The Tennessee anniversary, 200th anniversary of statehood, is a real landmark for the Tennessee Historical Society, because as this 200th anniversary approached in 1996, Ann and her board decided to make a lasting contribution to the preservation of the state's history by creating an online encyclopedia. Working with countless scholars, preservationists, public historians, Ann and the Society partnered with Dr. Carol Van West of the MTSU Center for Historic Preservation to direct the massive years-long project to get this encyclopedia created. It is the first comprehensive reference book of its kind for Tennessee, and Tennessee was only the third state to create such a massive project. When the Society itself celebrated its 150th anniversary, Ann prepared an exhibit for the Tennessee State Museum and put together all the materials for that exhibit, as well as an article about it in the Tennessee Historical Quarterly, which is published by the Tennessee Historical Society. During her leadership, under her leadership, I guess I should say, the Tennessee Historical Society expanded its programs for adults and children, and probably the most significant part of this expansion was by assuming the sponsorship for Tennessee History Day. As I look around this room, there are very few of you that I see that haven't at one time or another been a job at Tennessee History Day. It is directed by the capable work of Jennifer Core, who's here somewhere. I've seen Jennifer tonight, and we have in the short time that the THS has been in charge of this program, we've had several national winners. The competition a few weeks ago was really incredible. We have some remarkable work going on in our schools across the state. Ann is a native of Watertown, Tennessee, and Wilson County. She herself lives in a 1930s bungalow in the Hillsborough West End National Register Historic District with her husband Dan and her son Joe, who are here with her tonight. She has an insatiable curiosity about history and almost everything related to our state that has served served the cause of preservation. She has served the Tennessee Historical Society, the city of Nashville, Davidson County, and the state quite well. So it is with great honor that I present to Ann Toplovich the Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County Historical Commission Achievement Award for her excellence in preservation, interpretation, and the promotion of Tennessee history. Ann?
Here you go. Let's look here. Try and get this together. Congratulations.
I believe as a point of privilege, I'm allowed to say one or two things, although following Carol Busey's words, I mean, how can I do that? Carol and I have been friends for a long time, and anyway, if I talk about it, I'll get verklempt. But I want to thank you all. I have to say, getting this Award of Achievement from the Metro Historical Commission this year came as a great surprise to me, and it's obviously a great honor. When Bob Allen gave me a call, I said, now, Bob, word might have gotten out that I plan on retiring, but I've changed my mind. Do you want the award back? And he said, oh, no, you can keep it. So I will be around for a little bit longer. But any achievement of mine comes from working together with colleagues and friends, so many over the years. And as I look in this room, I could start back here with Dan Pomeroy, and Berkeley Allen was back there. I could name probably every one of you as those colleagues and friends who've made all this happen. But with so many to thank, I'll spare you the roll call and indulge in only a few names. But first, I want to thank the Board of the Tennessee Historical Society and its staff. Bob Buchanan, who's the president of the Tennessee Historical Society, is here. Carol Busey is a former board member. Dan Pomeroy is a vice president. And I was in the very front, so I didn't, if there's some other board members here, raise your hand. But thanks to them. And then, of course, as Carol mentioned, Jennifer Core is the best office mate I think I could ever have asked for. She was a gift when she came, and has done wonders with Tennessee History Day. And Graham Perry, who's working with us now, is a big part of the team as well. So I want to thank all those people. Now, and then, as mentioned by Carol, I think that there are, how many of you have been a History Day judge? Just raise your hand. Okay, Jennifer, take the names of the people who didn't raise their hand, because we're going to use you in 2020. It's a wonderful program that serves over 8,500 students across the state. So together we've worked to preserve, protect, and promote Tennessee history, which is the mission of the Tennessee Historical Society, and to tell the stories of all Tennesseans. As I said, there's so many names I could call, but I'd like to mention three of my mentors who could not be here today. The first, and some of you will remember this, I know Ann Roberts will, Charlie Howell. Remember, some of you who are of a certain age, the proposed 21-story Algernon Blair building at 2nd Avenue and Church Street in 1986. Charlie Howell taught me that politics can be conquered sometimes. He even got Governor Lamar Alexander to stand on the street in front of the vacant site and oppose the development there. 2nd Avenue and Lower Broadway would not have survived if that development had gone forward. We wouldn't have what we have today. And Charlie Howell definitely is a part of my story. Another person I wanted to mention is Senator Douglas Henry. He was a stalwart for preservation of Tennessee's history as well as Tennessee's natural environment. As senator from Nashville, he helped with enabling legislation for preservation, like the legislation for conservation zoning that John Summer worked on. He was a true son of the South, but he managed to bridge the lost cause preservation efforts of the early 20th century with the needs of the 21st. And he left us a legacy, and left me a legacy that I know should be remembered. And finally, the third person I want to mention is Walter Durham, who Carol brought up. Walter was a businessman turned historian, and he provided active leadership in preserving legacies beyond that of elite white men. He was one of them, but he looked way beyond that. He wanted us to work on the history of African Americans, women, recent immigrants, even Yankees who'd moved here. He wanted us to look at everyone's history and know that it should be respected and told. He was a great leader on inclusion and a great person for me to have as a model. So I'm grateful for this award, so grateful, and I'm especially grateful for the opportunity of doing work every day that benefits my community here in Nashville and the state and feeds my soul. So thank you all. And now let's get our work back to our work together, keeping Nashville authentic and preserving his historic neighborhoods and landmarks, and let's save Music Row.
Can we say wow, wow, wow? Are there preservationists in the house? Yeah, let's give ourselves a hand. You know, there's been so many awards, you know, that you see on TV. And so this is our red carpet award, right? So thank you for being here, and so happy to see you all. The Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County Historical Commission Historical Achievement Award goes to Judy and Steve Turner. And the crowd goes wild. This is in recognition of their dedication to urban revitalization and commitment to the preservation and promotion of Nashville's historic and cultural resources. Judy and Steve Turner, both natives of Kentucky, moved to Nashville in 1986 and quickly became active in civic and cultural initiatives. Their interest in urban revitalization as developer, investor, and preservationist led them to purchase and renovate 138 2nd Avenue North in 1992. This historic building became the Turners' office and home, named Butler's Run. The Turners' investment in 2nd Avenue came at a watershed moment for Nashville's oldest and most historic commercial district, as preservationists worked to balance the protection of the district's character with the pressures of growth, which continues to challenge us today. With the renovation of Butler's Run, the Turners helped set a precedent for downtown living, which was integral to revitalizing downtown and for mixed-use development in the urban core. For their efforts in 1996, their project received Award of Merit from the American Institute of Architects. In 1995, when the 2nd Avenue Historic District was nearly removed, let's keep remembering that, from the National Register of Historic Places, the Turners were among those who advocated for its 1997 designation as a historic overlay district. Shortly after, then Mayor Phil Bredesen appointed Judy to the Metropolitan Historic Zoning Commission, a position she held until 2012. Judy has devoted her public life to volunteerism and support of Nashville's nonprofit and civic organizations that benefit a wide array of causes, from the arts to healthcare. In the most recent years, she served as a member of the Nashville Library Foundation, Greenways for Nashville, the Tennessee Repertory Theater, and Vanderbilt University's Blair School of Music. Steve is the founder of Market Street Equities Company, an investment firm with diversified holdings, including real estate. Market Street Equities formed the Nashville Urban Venture Partnership to spearhead, and get this, to $600 million, 30-acre mixed-use development, now highly visible and popular tourist destination named, there you go. Additionally, Steve is an active civic leader on several fronts. Like Judy, He is a passionate supporter of the arts, holding board and chair positions with the Country Music Foundation, Nashville Symphony Association, Frist Art Museum, and the Tennessee Performing Arts Center. Additionally, he's an emeritus member of the Vanderbilt University Board of Trust. Since their arrival in Nashville, the Turners have been movers and shakers in the growth and cultural development of our city, and they often share their experiences and insight with others. In 2009, they opened their doors to a national audience of preservationists when the National Trust for Historic Preservation held its annual conference in Nashville. Additionally, the Turners have supported several projects designed to bring local history to diverse audiences. Their joint devotion to the Nashville Public Library and the Country Music Hall of Fame and Museum inspired them to commission String City, debuted in 2013. By the Wishing Chair Productions puppet show about Nashville's country music heritage. Most recently, they committed their financial support to Nashville Sites, a groundbreaking mobile-friendly website that will provide theme-based tours highlighting the city's historic and cultural sites, and have helped nurture organizational partnerships for the project. Therefore, I'm happy to say and honored that the Metropolitan Nashville and Davidson County Historical Commission is to acknowledge Judy, and let me say that again. It's really important. So it's Judy and Steve Turner. So on behalf of the Turners, and unfortunately they're not able to make it today, Cabot Pyle, is he here in the house? Yes. Director of Charitable Giving for the James Stephen Turner Family Foundation will be receiving this award.
Please. Oh, you're very welcome.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I get in the picture. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to say a few things on behalf of Judy and Steve. They certainly regret not being able to be here, and it's an honor for me to represent them. I've worked for their family foundation for 17 years now. As was said in the introduction, they're natives of Kentucky, born there, raised there, met there, married there, but when they moved to Nashville in 1986, they quickly embraced this city as their home. They originally lived in a ranch house on Hillsborough Road. And ironically enough, that home was either built or was lived in before they lived there by Fair and Young. And Steve had always wanted to rig the doorbell when it rang to say, "Hello, Walls," because apparently that was a... ironically enough, that home was torn down for a new construction, so it was not preserved. But the catalyst for them coming downtown was Steve always having a desire to live like a European life, where the shopkeeper lived above the shop. And Judy, a faithful and devoted spouse to Steve. I mean, it's hard to think of Steve or to think of Judy. You always think of Steve and Judy. When he said, "I want to move downtown, what do you think?" she said quickly, "Let's go for it." The problem was in 1992, when they wanted to move downtown, they looked for space to live in, and there wasn't any. But Mr. Matthews owned much of the property on 2nd Avenue, and he showed Judy and Steve many of those buildings, if not all of them. And they picked 138 2nd Avenue North for one very strategic reason. It was the biggest building that was available. So they purchased it. I don't know who goes into the wilderness before the pioneers, but they were those people. Because back in the early 90s, people were either giving up on downtown Nashville or they assumed people already had. Following the move to Butler's Run, the renovation of it, a move that actually led to the development of a great deal of the codes that now exist in downtown Nashville for mixed-use developments. Steve and his son Jay and their partner Joe Barker decided to take an Olympic-sized leap of faith in the development of the Gulch. I've lived here 45 years. You could have asked me what the Gulch was, and I wouldn't even have known what it was. It was the kind of place that people drove around. You certainly didn't drive through unless you were going to the station inn. But that was a monumental risk on their part personally. But I think it's safe to say that it served as a catalyst for a lot of the new that's here in Nashville. A lot of the construction, a lot of the development, a lot of the excitement, a lot of the it in the it city. And they're very proud of that, and it's very important to them. But at the heart of what Judy and Steve, the emotion they have for this city, the chromosome that's most important to them is the historic part of this community. It's what this commission does to preserve not only the appreciation for and the respect for, but the memory for, and the spirit of the history that they're preserving here, not only in the buildings, but the communities, the neighborhoods, and the stories. And that really is what's most important to Judy and Steve, and that's the main reason why they really love this community, is what the work of this commission, the work of you all, and I know they'll treasure this award a great deal. Thank you very much.
Apologize for being a little slow getting up here, but my name is Bob Allen, and 13 years ago we started at the Bellevue History and Genealogy group, and I know many of you here have talked to our group before, and we have been meeting weekly for 13 years now at the Bellevue Y, which is in partnership with the Turner Lifelong Learning Center, and it's thanks to Steve and Judy Turner that we have that nice facility in Bellevue. And I remember when we started our history group, the first Friday after the facility opened, Judy walks through and she said, "I don't ever want to come out here and see a classroom without something going on in it." We started off with 2,600 members, and now we have 6,800 members out there. So, and we need expansion. So if Steve and Judy Turner want to help with expansion, I'm sure I can get the appropriate people to talk to them. But today, I'm here to give an award to Tennessee Crossroads. Tennessee Crossroads, probably like your house and my house, it's recorded every Thursday night, and so I can always go back and see the previous editions. Joe Elmore, the host of that Tennessee Crossroads, talked to our group a couple years ago, and he works out at the Y in the Turner Center, and he said, he was asked, "Could you recommend the best barbecue and meat and three in Tennessee?" And he said, "No way. Because if I recommend one, I'll never get a free lunch at the others." On the air since 1967, Tennessee Crossroads travels the highways and byways of Tennessee, highlighting the personalities, crafts, places, foods, and events that make Tennessee and its character so special. Tennessee Public Television sponsors Tennessee Crossroads and has been an Emmy Award-winning program. The various shows are actually seen across the nation on the PBS network, and a variety of local states show them, television stations show them weekly, including Knoxville, Chattanooga, Martin, and Memphis. Tennessee Crossroads debuted, like I said, in late October 1987 and was hosted by Joe Elmore and producer Susan Thomas, Al Vex, and Jerry Thompson. Over 30 years later, Joe continues to take viewers to meet interesting people and explore fascinating aspects of our state. Within each half hour, the program highlights 3 to 4 restaurants, museums, inns, artists, and more, telling stories of people and places. Historic sites are our favorite features, too. Recent seasons have highlighted the Madison Amquay Station, the Tennessee War Memorial, Old Hickory Village.
May I have your attention, please? The library closes in 20 minutes.
You know, I got to interject something real quick. Since my heart attack and stroke I had a couple years back, I'm unable to stand more than 5 minutes or walk more than about a couple hundred feet. And when I tell people that, when I give public presentations, they all clap. But anyway, the historic sites are been featured, and most recently, Marathon Village has been accented as well. Along with Joe Elmore, and the current Tennessee Crossroads team includes several longtime producers. Susan Watson has been on the program and both behind the camera. Rob Wiles and Teresa Bush and Ken Wilshire. And the most recent addition is Danielle Allen. Unfortunately, no relation. But anyway, the award reads, the Metropolitan, Nashville, and Davidson County Historic Commission presents the Commissioner's Award to Tennessee Crossroads in recognition of these notable contributions, dedication to celebrating and telling the stories of the people and places of Tennessee. Is Joe Elmore and his staff here? No.
Thank you, Bob. Good to see you again. Good to see you again. Well, the mayor's leaving because the library's closing, and I guess I better be short. This is indeed quite an honor, and Bob, thanks so much. Especially coming from such a prestigious group as the Metro Historical Commission. And in 30 years, I guess we've covered a lot of stories about people, places, landmarks, and people who are dedicated to preservation at many levels, small and big. It's kind of funny. I was just thinking about 30 years and 8 months ago, I was sitting in a room with some folks talking about this little TV show we were going to do called Tennessee Crossroads. And I remember one of the on-air producers saying, you know, I guess after about 2 years, we'll have done just about everything that's cool in Tennessee and we'll be gone. Well, that was 30 years and 8 months ago, and I think we just got started, really. And we're going to keep doing the work. And again, I say, by the way, I want to say thanks on behalf of all the people who make Tennessee Crossroads possible. It's an incredible team, and especially our president and CEO, Kevin Crane. Kevin, take a bow a little bit. This guy pays my checks. He signs the checks. I love it. No, it's been a blast, and again, I feel like we are sharing the same mission in a way of kind of celebrating what's good about Nashville and Davidson County, the wonderful preservation works and the history that's made the city my hometown, and we're going to keep up the great work, and thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Harmon with Historic Nashville. I'm actually surprised this year because usually I'm the one being interrupted by the library announcements. Mayor Briley had to leave, but on behalf of Historic Nashville, I do have to say we are so thankful for him and for Fort Negley, so thank him. And also I want to thank all of the council members that were here today and their support for preservation. And also, let's give another round of applause to Tim Walker and to the Metro Historical Commission staff, Scarlett. They do an absolutely incredible job putting this together. For those of you that aren't familiar with Historic Nashville, we are an all-volunteer run nonprofit, and our mission is to preserve and promote the historic places that make Nashville unique. We do that through our advocacy, through our education, and our preservation programs. And as Tim said earlier, we've been doing that work for over 50 years now. I have to thank Councilman Freddie O'Connell. In terms of our 50th anniversary, he helped us to pass a resolution at Metro Council in honor of that milestone. So thank you to Freddie O'Connell. Over the years, our advocacy has played a significant role to save places like Union Station, the Ryman, and more recently, Fort Negley Park. Fort Negley was listed in our 2016-2017 annual Nashville 9 list of the city's most endangered historic places, but we also listed places like rural cemeteries, like Gower Family Cemetery. So we're very excited to see them win an award this year. This program is our strongest advocacy tool that brings much needed public awareness to the places that matter most to Nashville, places that are threatened by demolition, by neglect, and by development. And we do accept applications all year long, so if you have a property in mind, you can do that online. We've also helped to actively save historic places with our Preservation Easements Program. It was established in 1982, and Historic Nashville owns preservation easements on 18 historic properties, including the Hermitage Hotel, the Utopia, which is part of the Dream Hotel, where we'll be having a reception this evening. And also, I'm incredibly proud, our most recent addition was the Benny Nixon House. I have to have a shout out to Dave. You've done incredible work, and so we're very proud of your award tonight. This is our strongest preservation tool that we have with Historic Nashville. Properties in our easements program cannot be demolished, and all changes to the exterior of these buildings must be approved by Historic Nashville. So that means that all the work that's put in to places like the Betty Nixon House, those are going to be saved in perpetuity and saved forever. We also offer lots of other programs, from free monthly behind-the-scenes tours for our members. I'm sure many of you have been on those behind-the-scenes tours. We also have educational workshops, special events, and I have to do a quick plug. It is Preservation Month, so we have a lot of preservation events going on and special tours. You also have a picture up here of Anne giving our Women's History Tour. We're offering that again, so if you didn't get to go the first time, we're going to be doing that on June 1st. And Carol, absolutely. We also have tours of Music Row, and we've also got a beer history and Nashville beer history and tasting. So all of those things are coming up. We share all kinds of information on our website, on our social media, and our monthly newsletter. I know many of you probably have already been involved in and paid attention to lots of those. But in addition to this, we are also incredibly proud to be able to sponsor the Preservation Awards each year. For all the work that we do, we would not be here if it were not for all of you in this room. And that's why this event is so important, to be able to celebrate each of you actively preserving Nashville's historic places. All of tonight's nominees, awarded or not, your passion, your dedication, your understanding that our historic places are still very much a living and vibrant part of Nashville's story today. You keep Historic Nashville working to be a voice for preservation. The impact all of these projects have on our city is truly how we can keep Nashville unique. So on behalf of Historic Nashville, to all of you, thank you so much, and congratulations to everyone tonight.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.